This is Lon Jordan, and welcome to our Sketched by Design for Educators audio blog. To participate in our audio blog discussion, you can go to Sketched by Design for Educators Group's Facebook page. We are here again at the Synergy Studio with DeeJay Doc to talk about discovering your unique design in the 21st century marketplace. The focus, the importance of sacrifice. How important is it to have sacrifice?
Very important.
Do we think, do we as a society really understand how important sacrifice is, or we kind of
Or
just
know how to sacrifice?
Yeah, that's even a better question.
Here's what I was throwing to this sacrifice thing, is that it's not just a matter of are you willing to sacrifice, do you know what to sacrifice? And I can tell you as an example of me as a young entrepreneur, I've done a lot of sacrificing. On probably the good part of it, I was willing to sacrifice video games, a lot of hanging out for working, for hanging out with some friends doing our special unique craft.
Yeah.
We started musical groups together, and we worked hard at it when I was a teenager, when I was in school. So this is after school, after running, after basketball practice, then I'm working on music. And I did a lot of sacrificing. Sometimes I wouldn't go to the school prom because I had to do some recordings. What am I going to buy when I go to the mall? What kind of clothes am I going to wear? I had to make sure that when I saved up money, I needed to buy a new turntable and I needed to buy a new piece of recording gear. So I definitely sacrificed. If you listen to the sound system in my car, wasn't too hot, I could tell you that. Even to this day, my car does not have a sound system. Like, it has no radio. The radio's broken. I couldn't even play a radio or anything in my car. But when you come into my studio, on the other hand, I have a better sounding system than pretty much anyone I know. So that was a sacrifice that I made that helped me toward my unique gifts and dreams.
It's just so crazy because sometimes we put so much emphasis on accumulating depreciating assets, like a car. No, I'm being serious. Mm-hmm. It's like, why? There was actually a story of this speaker on TV, and he was talking about how somebody made fun of him because he bought a nice house and he had a real raggedy car, and so the neighbors were making fun of him and everything. And so, of course, the speaker didn't say anything to the guy, but then later on in a speaking engagement that I saw on YouTube, he was just talking about how angry and frustrated he was with that, not because of the fact that he was offended, but just the ignorance in that statement. Because in reality, I'm going to invest in a house that I know is going to appreciate, be appreciating asset.
At least normally they appreciate it.
Yeah. They're supposed to, but in his case,
right,
it was an appreciating asset. And then he said, well, why should I invest in a car that's going to depreciate, and as soon as you take it off the lot, the price goes down. The point was he understood the importance of sacrificing for an investment rather than sacrificing for something that is going to deteriorate anyway, that really has no value per se long term.
Right. Yeah, you got to sacrifice. And if you're how do we teach teenagers to sacrifice and help them understand what sacrifices are going to be worth it one day?
And that's at times difficult. I've heard that statement that says, well, baby boomer generation, they were more lenient on the generation coming up, so now we're, just the most spoiled brats in the world, you know what I'm saying? And I don't even know if that's necessarily all the truth. That might be some truth.
Yeah. No, how many teenagers and kids they have an iPhone, they have an iPad, they have the latest gaming device. But then I'm like, and you love music. What kind of guitar do you have? They don't even have a guitar. Or I met kids that want to be a DJ, and in all the DJ classes that I teach, they want to be a DJ, and they always ask me how much the equipment costs, and I tell them, and they say it's so expensive, but it's like, it costs you the same amount of money for a gaming system than it would to get a beginner set of turntables, but a lot of students would choose to have the gaming stuff going on and not to have the turntables, unfortunately. So just, in my particular expertise, DJing, I've seen, it's hard to find students that actually put their money into the DJ equipment that they enjoy. And so it's kind of frustrating, actually.
And I remember, you know, just talking about sacrifice and everything. I remember when I first started speaking, and I spent four or 5 months writing articles and submitting them across in every single state to tons of magazines in every state. And I wasn't doing any speaking engagements. And some people would have been like, "Well, that's crazy. You know, that's such a waste." And it really wasn't. Because now that I'm doing speaking engagements now and everything, things are going well. The magazines, I've been published in magazines all across the country. And recently just had one of my articles published in the National PTA magazine. And so the point is that you've got to do whatever it takes to get what you want, or, you know, feel that what you're designed to do. And unfortunately, many people aren't willing to do that. But now, since I've done that, now I have the credibility in a lot of these outlets to even more speak about what I'm talking about. And sometimes I think, and I know, that people aren't willing to do all of that. They'd rather just, you know, if you're not paying me $5,000, then I'm not going to do it. And how can you skip from you not even knowing how to speak on a stage to thinking you can demand $5,000? It's just impossible.
You got to
sacrifice, and unfortunately,
do a lot of free work.
Yeah, free work.
I've done my share of free DJ gigs.
A few $100 speaking engagements, few $100 DJing before you can start getting 25. You know, in the hundreds or in the thousands. I mean, people want something for nothing, and it takes a lot. It takes a heck